Greetings and welcome to a brand new episode of Out the Box Talks. I am your host, Cril. We are back for a brand new show. This is episode 90. We have made it to the 90th episode. And as I always say, we're getting closer and closer to 100. So I'm looking forward to that 100th episode. I really feel like I'm going to make that 100th episode before the year is up. But thank you again to our viewers, our listeners, everyone that takes the time to tap into the podcast, whether you listen via Spotify, Google, Apple, or you catch it via video on our YouTube channel, Out the Box TV. Your support is definitely appreciated. As always, I got a dope guest with me today. I'm really excited to talk to this brother because I've been trying to work out this interview for a little while, so it's really dope to finally get him on the platform. But before I introduce him, I do want to shout out some things Out the Box related. Remember, we got our website, outtheboxmedia.com. You can go to that website to get acquainted with all of our previous shows. We have over 150 artist interviews and growing that you can find on that platform. You just have to click the TV shows or podcast tab. Also, I mentioned it in the last show, but I'll mention it again. I just put out a brand new book. It's actually my first book. It is a guidebook entitled Creating a Successful Interview Podcast. And, it's really inspired from my last 13 years of doing interviews and getting feedback on my style and my approach to interviews. It's just something I wanted to share that would help people who are either starting their podcast journey or a little bit along and just need a little bit more help in putting together a successful interview podcast. So that is available on Amazon.com right now. It's currently digitally, so it's an ebook, but the print book will be coming soon. It'll be next. So if you have any questions about it, hit me up at the website, outtheboxmedia.com. Just go to the contact tab and you will be able to reach out via the contacts there. Also, we have our merch page, which is outtheboxmedia.bigcartel.com, where you can find Out the Box Talks merch and a lot of authentic hip-hop related merch as well. We have coffee mugs up for Out the Box Talks on that site as well. So if you want to support what we do and you really appreciate what the platform stands for, you could go ahead and get you something and rock it proudly. Also, we have our Patreon page where you can find access to exclusive interview clips that are only available to Patreon subscribers, those who go above and beyond to become members of Out the Box Media. And trust me, there's a lot of dope content on there. There's over 30 interviews that are exclusive to Patreon Out the Box Media. So go, check that out. And you can actually take a look at the list of artists that we have interview features for. Also, if you would like to donate, you can send donations to Cash App at #OutTheBoxRep or at PayPal at paypal.me/OutTheBoxMedia. Last but not least, as I said earlier, the platform is on YouTube. So if you are watching this episode on YouTube and you have not subscribed, feel encouraged to hit that subscribe button and click the notification bell so you can keep updated with all things Out the Box Media related. Out the Box TV related for the channel. Also, we are streaming on audio podcast platforms like Google, Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Overcast. Generally, where you find podcasts, we are there, and you can find the high quality audio version to these shows there as well. All right, so I just wanted to get that out of the way. Always want to make sure I share that information for new viewers and listeners. All of those links are in the description of this YouTube video, as well as the audio podcast platforms. It's in the description there as well. So, like I said, I got a dope guest with me today. I have been working to get this brother on the platform for a little while now. So, like I said, I'm really excited to have him on. He is a native of Los Angeles, representing the West Coast, but his music is just really just laid back, but full of substance. And it's just an overall good experience when you listen to his music. And I feel like that's a consistent thing for him, which is also dope to know. He released a project in 2017 entitled Daydreaming with the Deli. And in 2020 of last year, in the summer, he released a project called Jazzy Vibes with producer Emapea. So we're gonna talk to him specifically about his most recent project, Jazzy Vibes, and we'll get a chance to know a little bit more about him because I feel like he has a interesting story to tell. He also released a single in September entitled Timeless, produced by Phonics. And earlier this year, he also released a single called Ill Jazz with maple syrup. So, yeah, we're going to get into it. Again, this is episode 90. So, to all of our viewers and listeners, I want to welcome to our Out the Box Talks podcast my brother hailing from Los Angeles, California, Kid Abstrakt. Welcome, welcome.
Peace,
What's
peace.
good?
What's up, y'all? It's a pleasure to be here, man. I always appreciate being invited to new platforms, man, and being able to get a little deeper into my artwork and what I do, as an artist and the music, because I know people love hearing the backstory and finding out a little bit more about the artists they support.
Definitely, definitely. So, like you said, backstory, which is really a good place to start. Can you give the listeners out there and the viewers out there an idea of what initially gave you the inspiration to become an MC?
Oh yeah. Well, it was first listening to Biggie and Tupac tapes as a kid in elementary school. That's my first introduction to hip hop. Cassette tapes on a boombox. I didn't have that around my house, so I had to sneak over to a neighbor's house. He was my age, but he had older brothers who were into hip hop, and they had the tapes, and we'd throw them on the boombox, and we would just sit there in awe of Biggie and Tupac, and we would run the tapes completely and just listen to it and fully absorb it, which is different from what I feel like now, where music is so easy to just skip through. We can pick songs. We're in the era of singles, but then I was actually absorbing the albums and all the content and all the topics and the rhymes and the flows and the energy. And later on in middle school, a lot of my friends were freestyling, just kind of clowning on each other, rap battles and just having fun. And I was like, yo, this is super dope. Let me try this myself. So I got in it freestyling, just clowning on my classmates, and they thought I was pretty dope, actually. So then I started writing rhymes and recording on my cell phone.
Mm,
So, these are older cell phones, flip phones, and they had like recording programs in them. So I would go home, write a 16 real quick, and record it on my phone. Go back to school, show my friends like, yo, check out what I did right here. And so I would hold the phone to like the speaker of my computer and like just rhyme my 16 and go back to school, show them, and they're like, yo, this is super dope. You need to take this to a professional studio.
mm.
So it was all encouraged by friends telling me that I was good because I just loved it. I always loved the culture. B boys and B girls were always around me. Graffiti artists. I know a lot of DJs, producers, and I just always loved the sound and the energy around the culture.
Wow, man. You know, you're taking me back a little bit because you talked about writing the lyrics in your phone. And when I started, because fun fact about me, I also MC as well. And when I started rhyming in high school, it was no phones. You know what I mean? I came up in the 90s. So it was straight up, the black and white composition notepads.
Oh yeah.
I had like crazy pages of rhymes, and there was really no structure. I was just writing to write, like I didn't have no beats. I just was writing because I enjoyed and I had love for the art like that too. So talk to me about like how you being able to utilize the phone benefited your experience as a writer, as an MC.
Well, I had the black and white notepads as well. I think at this time the notes app wasn't really that big. It was still a flip phone, so it was more useful for recording. So I would still actually write my raps, but having the phone to record everything on the go, like I can even have a thought come to mind and then say it, record on the phone real quick
Right.
and take it home and then work on it or whatever the case is. But having something that you can transfer with you so easily was super dope, especially being able to kind of record a preview of what you're working on and then being able to go back to school and get some feedback from my friends. I think kind of I think that's an advantage for sure.
Definitely, definitely. I totally agree. And now it's even become more advanced. People are literally recording songs on their phones, so
Yeah,
that's
making
dope.
beats on their phones.
So the album that you have out, which is currently out now, but came out last year, and I feel like this album has kind of grown. Like we're in 2021, and I think people are still talking about it, which is not a common thing for a lot of artists these days. Like they put out an album, and then next year it's like old news. They put out something new again. Talk to me about how you and Emapea came together to collaborate on Jazzy Vibes.
Thank you, man. First, I want to comment on what you said. People still talking about it to this day. Um, I think a gem that I can drop for other artists is that we found different ways to promote the album. Like I didn't just release it, drop a couple videos and little content here and there, and just act like I didn't work on anything. I feel like a lot of artists put their heart and soul into projects. They'll promote it for a few weeks and maybe not get the results that they want and just move on to the next thing. And for me, I was like, nah, I need to be more persistent. I need to find different ways to get this message out because there's different messages within the album, different ways I can approach, content for social media. So I want other artists to kind of keep that in mind as well when they put a project together. You can figure out different ways to present the music to people. So I think Emapea and I really zoned in on like figuring out a way to have longevity with this album. And for me, when I make music, it's always about leaving a mark and not just lasting for a day or two. Like club music, for example. It's played at the club for maybe a month and then people forget about it, right? But for me, I wanted to have some substance that that would last the test of time. So for you to notice that and mention that the album is still being talked about a year later, man, I'm overjoyed, man. I'm super happy about that. Super blessed, thankful that that's the case because we put a lot of work into that. So I wouldn't want it to just be played for a couple weeks and then just forget about it. So we were actually blessed to be able to do a third repress of the Jazzy Vibes vinyl, and I think we might actually be doing a fourth because the sales have been doing so well. Um, but back to your question. Emma Pia had reached out to me regarding a song from my group Revolutionary Rhythm. He really liked what we did, and he's like, "Let me do a remix of it. Can you send the vocals and the cuts?" So I sent it to him. He tried to do something, and he was like, "You know what? I love the original too much. I couldn't find something that worked for this. How about we work on something original for us?" So I was like, "All right, bet, let's do it." time kind of went on. We never actually connected. It was we were talking here and there, but nothing ever happened. And one day, randomly, I'm on Spotify. I decide to check out his beat tapes, and I see a lot of it is self-released through his own label. So
Mm,
I'm listening to it, and I'm getting all these ideas, and I'm like, wait, hold up, let me write all this down. Let me approach him and see what he thinks about making an album with all these beats that I already released. So he's like, yeah, let's do it. That actually makes it easier for me because I think at the time he wasn't really working on too much, so it kind of made it easier instead of having to start from scratch. So I send him vocals on all these beats, and it was crazy because we finished the album before the pandemic,
mm.
and we're trying to get it all together, packaged up and ready for marketing and promoting. And that's the pandemic. COVID hit, and we were sitting on it. Like everyone was kind of like in this weird state. Like we didn't know like if it was a good time to promote music. I myself was like, maybe we should wait till things kind of die down a little bit, and things get a little calmer. People are in a better place. Um, but I don't know what it was. We were just like, nah, we worked really hard on this. I think people actually need to hear this at this time. I think they need music right now to kind of keep their minds off of all the things that are going on right now.
Hmm.
A lot of political stuff going on too, man. So we released it, and it did really well, man. I think it brought like kind of peace of mind to people, man. And that was kind of my goal, just kind of bringing good energy. That's always kind of my goal with my music is to even though I might talk about some struggles that are happening. Um, I'm thankful to say I'm a pretty positive guy. Thanks to my family and the friends that I'm around. We try to uplift each other, and I think that shows through the music. That's really important for me. It's kind of I want it to be an escape for people.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely recognize that in your music, and I wanted to talk to you about that a little bit later. But let's talk about the other contribution to Jazzy Vibes. We have DJ Million Faces, who's another person like featured heavily on the project. And he's also on your Daydreaming project as well. Can you talk about how your relationship with him came to be and why he's such an important contributor to your music?
Oh yeah, I'm glad you asked that, man. He Our group Revolutionary Rhythm. I'm with another MC by the name of Predominance. We met in middle school, um, and later formed a group in high school. We had a lot of success, and during our live shows, we didn't have a DJ, and we were like, "Yo, it's really important for us to have a DJ. Like that's the backbone of hip hop. Like we got to find somebody." But the thing is that our group is really tight. Like we don't just let anybody in. It's not only about talent. It's also about being a good person, a genuine person, a humble person. Um, and so I don't know why, but I went on Twitter one day, and a friend of mine, I trust her her musical ear, and she listens to a lot of dope stuff. So she tweeted, I'm at this place called the Urban Art Center. It's in Wilmington, California, right here in LA. And she tweeted, "I'm listening to some dope music from DJ Million Faces." So I go on his page, and I'm like, "Oh, this dude's dope." And so I decided to go check him out. And the dude is like mad talented. Like you don't see a lot of DJs that are nice with the cuts. A lot of them know how to mix and match music and whatnot, but he knew how to cut it up. So I was like, "Oh, that's even better, man." So I messaged him, and I was like, "Yo, man, I would really like to meet you. I'm a fan of your work. Let's build." So he invited me over. Man, was super humble, super just mad respectful. Just that's always important for me. It's always about being a good human being before just a talented person. So we connected right away, and we decided to work on some music with the group first. And I think we released an album called The Art Gallery,
Mm.
which you guys can find on the Bandcamp. It's revolutionaryrhythm.bandcamp.com. Um, but so we had that cool relationship, and he was mad talented. People really loved what he brought to the music. It brought another element, the cuts. Like I grew up on Gangstar, hearing primo cuts on the tracks, man, and I always loved that. I always like, yo, I need to find a DJ that could hook me up with some stuff like this right here. And Million is mad talented, man. I learned that he was like, I always appreciated his cuts, but when we went out to DJ battles, other DJs would go up to him and be like, "Yo, you are crazy good." So that's when I knew. I was like, "Oh, so the other DJs are giving him mad props. All right, this dude's mad talented. Then we got a good DJ right here."
That's dope. That's definitely dope. Now, I want to take it a little bit back. You released the Daydreaming project in 2017, produced by the Deli, which is a really dope project as well. But it does sound a bit similar to the Jazzy Vibes album. So, outside of it being done by different producers, how would you describe the difference between those two albums?
So with Daydreaming, the the idea was that we only sampled Brazilian records,
Mm,
and that was kind of that was a dream of mine for a long time because I listened to a lot of Brazilian hip hop artists like Marcelo D2, Kamau is his name, man, and just a lot of like hip hop infused with like Brazilian samba and jazz, and especially like groups like the Far Side, where they have that song "Running." I believe that samples a Brazilian record, and I always loved that Dilla production where he sampled a lot of Brazilian records. And I have family from Brazil, so for me it only made sense. And I had recently had a trip to Brazil
mm.
during the World Cup. This is 2014, and I really wanted to capture that energy in there, that feel. That is just it's really rich. The culture is really rich. The music is beautiful. So I wanted to mix that with hip hop. And the Deli was already a fan of a lot of the Brazilian records that I was listening to as well. So it came so naturally and quick. And I'm super happy with that album too. I have a lot of people that still hit me up that want vinyl. Hopefully I can make that happen, but no promises. But I think the sound is definitely very similar, and I'm glad that it is because
Mm.
I don't want to put myself in a box, but I just do what resonates with my soul, and it happens to be that jazz infused hip hop, and that's what I love. I can't help it. Like I try to do something different, but I always end up coming back. I can't help it.
Listen, man, you got to be true to yourself. And I think that is what my belief is that I think that's what we're here to be, is to give our authentic self to this world. And what's the best way to be your authentic self? By being true to what resonates with you. So
Amen to that. Yep.
yeah, so the Deli, just so I'm clear, is that a producer collective or is that just one person?
Oh, it's just one person
Okay,
from Texas.
okay.
Yeah. I had reached out to him on SoundCloud. This is SoundCloud was like huge at the time. That by the way, that was a dope time, man. I kind of miss that when SoundCloud was popping, man. That was a good time.
What did you miss about the SoundCloud? I guess the SoundCloud era of you releasing music. What was it about it that was
Uh,
special?
Maybe it was like the mind state of a lot of the artists being in like one specific platform where only the music mattered. I think a lot of us were really active on that, opposed to like sitting on like now IG and Twitter
Mm,
and like really focusing on an image almost like in trying to promote your music in a way where you wanted to appeal to other people, where you're focusing on graphic design and all these other elements. And SoundCloud was just like about having some dope music at the time. I mean, now that's important as well, but there's multiple things that go into it now. It's like you have to do so much work now to present your music. But I think with SoundCloud, we were all on it, just waiting for another artist to kind of. We were all kind of feeding off of each other's energy and just dropping good music.
dope, dope. So on the first track, Jazz and Coffee Part 4. I'm gonna get into some of the songs on the album now. You say you're challenging yourself to live a better life, more conscious of your health, living in the moment, trying to be self-aware. How has that experience developed since you wrote that record? Is it becoming more challenging or less since your artistry has grown?
A lot of these things, they're just a part of my life now. Just kind of happens, subconsciously. For practicing it for so long, you kind of try to stay consistent and hold yourself accountable. Um, but there are different challenges every day, different obstacles, man. It's not always easy. So just kind of reminding yourself, and I think a lot of my music serves that way, even to myself. Like it's kind of like a lot of the stuff that I say, I'm kind of speaking to myself too, and also letting other people know, like, yo, this is what it is. And that for that song, it's very self-reflective. I'm sitting having a coffee, listening to beats, and I'm just kind of reflecting on life and letting it all spill out.
Yeah,
But being conscious of my health is really important because going, even before the pandemic, and now it resonates more with during the pandemic. Health is number one. It's so important, man. And after I had my son, my first son, I have two boys now. Um, you know, just not being sick and being able to just be full of energy, full of life, and not having to worry about certain things, is a huge blessing, man, that I think people take for granted. Just being able to wake up and do what you got to do and have no setbacks, no health setbacks, man, is a beautiful thing.
definitely. You also say on that same song, converse about life and how it all passed by. In a blink of an eye, these old folks didn't lie. So much good advice that you never received, must have heard it more than twice, but you never believed. Why do you think it was so hard for you to receive and believe good advice in your earlier years?
Oh, when you're younger, you feel invincible, man. Like, you really have to go through some things to fully understand what people are saying. Because like they can tell you one thing, but when you finally experience it yourself, it hits different, man. Because unfortunately, man, I was a kind of stubborn kid, man. As open as I was to receiving things, I can admit that I was kind of stubborn, and stuck in my ways, man, and just wanting to have fun and just hang out with the homies, man, and just kind of live it up at that age. But as you get older, you kind of learn, you experience things, man, and you got a different perspective now. So that's what it was about, and I really hope that resonates with the young people I know, which is tough because you really got to experience things to fully understand it.
Was there like a event or a moment that you could pinpoint where that realization, came through to you to be like, yo, I need to be paying attention to certain things a little bit more seriously?
Yeah, I would think it was the birth of my son, man.
Mm,
I grew up overnight
wow.
when I found out my wife was pregnant. And not that I was childish. I mean, I would say that I was old, so I would stay home most of the time and really lay low. But I think I wasn't really progressing in my life as much as I wanted to. I was kind of stagnant, thinking that, man, just it's things are gonna happen. It's gonna figure out itself. But that's not necessarily the case. When you got a kid, man, you get a fire lit on you, man, and you got to work harder. So I mean, it's like you know, now you got to take care of someone else, and so
Absolutely.
and that is crazy.
Definitely. I totally hear you and identify with you. I have a few sons myself. So
Nice.
the track "It's All Good," in my opinion, really sums up the overall vibe of this album. Like how you were saying earlier, like your a lot of your music has like a positive message, and I get that automatically as I listen to you, and it's one of the things that intrigued me to want to interview you. So that track is like really laid back, but it's also like optimistic in lyrics and sound. And I feel like that carries through in the entire album. What do you think best set the tone for your music to come across this way?
I appreciate that, man, for real. Um, that's important to me. Sending that energy out in the world. I think I gotta say that the most important thing to me with music is production,
Mm.
and that's why I always give it up to Emapea and the Deli, man. They really like set the platform for me. It's like they brought the the huge canvas for me to allow me to just paint what I wanted to. And for me, most of the time, the beat serves as the guide for me. Like I can't just rhyme about anything on any beat. Like it's got to be fitting. So I think with It's All Good, the I think the beat called for that. Honestly, the drums and the sample, the horns. Like for me, like it just made sense. Like honestly, I feel like it was just everything just comes from God, man. It just comes down to me, and He says, "Yo, this is the energy you're gonna bring." So it just felt right. It was a feel good beat, and I just brought more details to it, and I brought the energy to it. Um, but also, keeping in mind that you got to bring the element. I brought the element of adding DJ Million faces to that, so I kind of serve like as an executive producer as well, because I kind of try to figure out where things will fit in and make sense. So him sampling Biggie, "It's All Good," just I think was the icing on the cake, man. I think it really brought out. I think it really brought out, more life into the song.
You know, when you mention the executive producer hat that you kind of played with the project, I think about some of the hooks or the bridges on the album. Some sometimes you'll have like cuts, like the DJ doing the cuts, but very often you would actually sing the hook. And and when I say sing, it's actually not really you fully singing, but it's like a mixture of like rap singing, if
Yeah,
you get
yeah.
what I'm getting at.
I can't sing, so
Yeah.
I definitely get you, man.
But it works, right? Like it works for the vibe of the album. How do you know when it's time for you to, like, which tracks you're gonna do that on versus the tracks that you're just gonna let the DJ do the cuts on, like DJ Million Faces do the cuts on?
Yeah, a lot of my stuff, I'll kind of start humming to the beat.
Mm,
So and I'll see if like the melody or it kind of fits in well as I'm humming. And if it doesn't make sense to me with the humming, and I'll actually add words on top of the humming. And if it doesn't make sense to me, I'll just cut it out and just be like, "No, we need some cuts on this." But not every beat calls for cuts. So if people enjoyed it and thought it fit well, that's great, man. Because I know it's kind of tough sometimes. You don't want to overdo either or. You don't want to overdo the singing. You don't want to overdo the cutting. You want to be able to offer multiple things for the listeners too. So if y'all think it blended well, then I did an amazing job, man. I'm proud of that.
dope, dope. So you have a track on the album entitled Raw Lo-Fi, and it's a track that's the title in itself stands out. So I wanted to ask you, like, how would you describe what Raw Lo-Fi is as it pertains to your sound in particular?
So I would say raw, just because when I go in to when I approach making music, I'm not like cutting, pasting, editing too much. Like it's the authentic me. I just spill out whatever comes to me. I try not to think about it too much, and also just like being influenced by like the Wu Tang and like that raw sound,
Mm,
and kind of bringing that to LA where the sound is a little different. You get a little more like gangster rap over here. You get a little more street rap, maybe a little more like West Coast rider music is really popular over here. So me and Predominance with Revolutionary Rhythm, it was always about like keeping it raw, taking it back to the essence of hip hop. So like that's what raw means for me. And lo-fi was it was more of like like people keep trying to put us in like that lo-fi hip hop, and when I think lo-fi, I don't think beats to sleep to, beats to do your homework to. Like that, that's cool and all. I listen to that, but I'm like, I'm gonna bring the raw lo-fi. So I'm gonna bring like some raw lyrics and like keep it real raw and boom bap. Yet it's gonna have like that kind of staticky sound, like it's not like super professional and too clean. Like it's just like straight off the mic and the MPC and just straight to your headphones. That's for me is raw lo-fi.
Dope, dope. So I think I mentioned this earlier that your delivery is like really laid back and it works really well with the beats that you tend to rap over. But do you ever find that because your lyrical delivery is so laid back that it's easy for people to lose attention to what you're saying in your rhymes and get caught up more in the beats than the actual rhymes?
Honestly, I don't have a problem with that.
Mm,
Just because I stated that production is really important for me, and I've really changed my approach in recent years from wanting to be the best MC or the most lyrical MC to more just capturing my story, capturing a vibe. I keep saying kind of like these words, bringing a certain energy. I think that's more important for me. Even if people are just have the music on in the background and kind of get lost in it, for me, I'd be super happy with that. Actually, if my music would you were getting lost to it and you just forgot what I was saying, for me, that's like, oh, maybe I'm not interrupting too much. I'm more of just sitting right here in the pocket, and you're just vibing out, man. I'm definitely cool with that. I have no problem with that.
yeah, I brought it up because I feel like that I kind of had that experience with your music, right? And I had to really keenly listen because I've said this a number of times in my previous shows. I'm a lyric head, so I like to listen to lyrics. And I had to really like hone in to really get some of what you were actually talking about in your lyrics. But I feel like on first listen, it just kind of everything just kind of flows together. And like you said, it's easy for the listener to get lost in the complete sound as opposed to, you know, highlighting the lyrics and hearing that at the forefront. So it's really interesting that you said that you actually like that. Like that's almost like something that you set out to achieve. So but yeah, that's dope. That's dope. And I never thought about it that way. Me being such a lyric head, like sometimes music is to be received in a natural, organic way and not always to be deciphered, right?
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, because there's a place and time for certain things, and I don't mean to interrupt you. And
that's
I
cool.
appreciate that. I'm glad you said that because I feel like there's songs where you're caught onto every word, right? And it's just grabbing your attention. And then there's other songs that play so wonderfully in the back, and not necessarily you're not listening, but that the voice blends with the beat so well. I think I kind of grew up with a lot of music that kind of felt like that. Like I would say for me, like a perfect example of that is like Diggable Planets,
Mhm.
who is one of my biggest influences. I think they sit in the music so well that you can kind of just play it and you just get lost in the music and
Yeah,
you're not necessarily so focused on what they're saying. It's just like that smooth jazz. It's like almost like another instrument is playing on top of the other stuff.
right.
So for me, I love that, man. There's a place and time for every different genres of music or different songs. So if that's what was taken, man, that's beautiful. To be honest.
And I just want to emphasize that the dope thing is that when people do listen to what you're saying something of substance. Like you're not mumble rapping, like you
Yeah.
have something that's uplifting, inspiring, and your words are meaningful. So I think you win in both ways, right? And I think it's a positive thing either way. So yeah, thanks for sharing insight on that.
Oh yeah,
So,
thank you, man. And also, like, if someone catches a lyric late, like maybe like the fourth or fifth listen,
right,
and they're like, wait, he said that? Oh, okay. Just I feel that in my soul right there. That's some real talk right there. That's even better.
dope, dope. When do you know it's time to take a break and put the hustle and bustle that sometimes comes with life on airplane mode?
I like that. Yeah, airplane mode.
Yeah, that's
Man, that you gotta listen to your body, man, your mind. What the universe is telling you. Um, you know, I think it's hard to stay productive right now. So much distractions too. I think we're easily distracted. Social media, just life in general. We all have different things we gotta. We're all just trying to find a balance in life. Um, but I think you got to kind of read the signs, and I think with time I've gotten so much better with that, and I know when to like kind of slow down and be a little more present. I think that's key. When you're really present and you're really living in the moment, you're not really focused on like what do I got to do next, what needs to be done. Writing things down is also a great way to like just keep things in order, kind of stay on a little schedule so you're not, curious of what needs to be done next and you're not clueless. You stay on the right path. Um, and I always put family first, and I gotta take care of them. Make sure they're straight. And I gotta shout out my wife because if it wasn't for wifey, the album would not be done. Because when I want to record, she takes care of the kids. And I get that studio time in, and that's where you guys get the product that you guys love and support, which I appreciate to the fullest. So I think the most important thing is just being present and being in the moment. That way you're more aware of what needs to happen next.
definitely, definitely. On the song Next Move, you say you are never second guessing. Yes, you got to stay focused, stop hesitating, take advantage of the moment. How have you been able to avoid overthinking situations and discern when it's the right moment to take advantage of something?
Man, that is a great question, man. I think it's not worrying too much about making mistakes and understanding that mistakes will actually help you in the long run, man. Like I think a lot of us dwell too much on what could happen. What if I did this? What if I did that? It's like no, just do what feels right. Like, and if you're wrong, like don't be scared to fail in front of people. Like who cares? Like at the end of the day, you gotta grow. Like do what's good for your soul, man. And a lot of times you're gonna be wrong, and that's okay. Like I've learned to deal with my mistakes, and not dwell on them too much. Learn from them and move on. And I think I mentioned that as well. Learn from your mistakes and move on.
Definitely. Well said. Your rhymes on this Jazzy Vibes album to me, and we you spoke about this earlier, but I just want to highlight it again. Like it embodies the uplifting and inspiring MC. You know, as I said earlier, a lot of your music has a positive message to it. What made you want, that general message in your music? I'm sorry, what made you want to have that general message in your music, take an uplifting approach?
I realized that, the people that I always loved and respected were always the ones that brought knowledge to me and
Mm,
like fed my soul with like, just, positive reinforcement, being able to tell me like, yo, you're gonna be good with this, you're gonna be good with that, like yo, and like people that bring good energy to the room. I always wanted to be around those people. I was always like attracted to those people, like
mm.
especially my partner predominance. He was always that guy, like in middle school and high school. Like everybody would gravitate towards him because he was such a positive guy. Like he was never in a bad mood at school, and people loved that. They gravitated towards that. So and I always felt like that was my attitude as well, but I was very shy. I wasn't always a people's person.
Mm,
So through hip hop, that gave me, that art form allowed me to express myself, and that's what I always loved most. I also read a lot of self help books,
mhm,
and I also watched a lot of YouTube videos with a lot of these speakers that they bring a lot of positive reinforcement in your life, and a lot of that really just changed my life to allow me to be more expressive and share that with others, because I wasn't always that way. I was always real shy, real mellow, introvert, just staying at home, listening to music, not really doing too much. But at the same time, I always loved like being appreciated for art and like sports too. I also did sports.
mhm,
So so for me, just seeing other people bring that positive energy to a room, I wanted to bring that to the music.
mm. Wow. You know, as I was listening to you earlier in this interview, I couldn't help but to think about how, like, you seem like someone who has a lot of morals and principles that you stand on. Prior to like the self-help books and the things that you've learned as an adult, would you say that you've had like a moral backing, and like kind of like, if so, like where does that come from?
Yeah, I think it's my parents, man. I was blessed to have my mom and dad with me, growing up. I did have a little trouble at the house, they're split, they're not together anymore.
Mm,
But you know what? They kept it real, like loving around us. Like they never let that affect how
mm,
they treated me and my sister. I have a younger sister. So I always respected that. The fact that they just kept it cool and they wanted to make sure that we were straight first, and they put all their stuff aside for us. Like I love that and respected that so much. And they always taught us about like just being respectful. Like for simple things like opening the door, for someone, and saying please and thank you. Like the most simplest basic things in life were always stressed in my home. So and that always stayed with me. That never left me. So for me, always being respectful to others, and just being a genuine, kind person was like is just the most important thing to me.
dope, dope. I thought it was dope that you highlighted the positive impact your music had on a fan on the song Deeper Than Rap. But I also thought it was dope that you spoke on the positive that that fan's message had on you. Can you expound a little bit more on this concept of or understanding of your music being deeper than rap?
Oh yeah, I'm glad you listened to that one, man, and that one resonated with you. That one's a real special one, man, and I actually showed it to I would call them family now, man. Anyone that supports my music to that level, I call them family. So I actually showed him the song before I released it. I wanted to get his approval first, even though I don't mention his name and put him out there like that. That's our story between him and I, and so I felt like it was important that he said yes before I put that out into the world. So if anybody didn't know that, I got his approval first. He said it was dope, man, and it was all through messages on, I think, Facebook. Um, so it was at a time where I wasn't too sure if music was really the right thing for me, even though I loved it so much. I wasn't sure if I wanted to pursue it as a part-time or a full-time job, just because it's so difficult in this time. It's oversaturated. We have so much music being released every day, and so I was kind of getting discouraged a little bit, by where music was going. So I almost felt like I wanted to step away or just make music low key to myself, family, friends, not really focusing on pushing it too much. And his message made me realize that the music is more powerful, man, than we think.
Wow.
Because there's music that has affected me and allowed me to get through tough times. So if I can do that for someone else, I was like, who cares about how many followers I have, how many streams I have, like all that stuff, man. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. If I can help someone through a tough time like that, man, I don't know what else to say, man. Like deep is deeper than rap.
Mm, nah, definitely. And when you think about it, it's like the epitome of like a meaningful exchange. Like the fan is benefiting, but you're also benefiting. And it's dope to, I'm sure it's dope to get that experience. You know, sometimes you don't even
Yeah,
think that, I guess when you start out, you don't even think that you're gonna get that experience. So it's dope that, you know, you were able to get it and then share about it in your music. So
yeah, man. And I think that even the little things are super important to me. Like anyone that comments on my material, on my music, drops a like, simple things like that, I do not take for granted. And I think a lot of artists are kind of do, man. Like they're so focused on like wanting to achieve some other level. It's like, or they want something else out of it. Like you got to focus on the people that are riding with you, man. The people who are rocking with you, supporting, commenting, sharing your music, purchasing your music. I think that's where you'll find true happiness, man. Instead of trying to look for something, you know, I don't know what it is that people are trying to attain, man. Like they want the super fame, but I hear that that's not always the best thing, man.
how does that sense of gratefulness affect or impact your financial success?
The financial success. That I've never really correlated both of them. I never really thought of them together, man. But the fact that you can remain in a state of gratitude will just keep you on the right path, keep you consistent. Uh, opposed to for example, I wanted to quit music at a point, right?
Mm,
Without realizing the true impact that my music had. So the fact that I was able to continue to create after being inspired by someone, I actually started landing some good placements. Um, Things started to happen more natural without even like I kind of like manifested it into my life because I was like, if I can continue to create this good music that affects people's lives, I think it can really, just blossom naturally and just grow naturally and reach other people. Especially if it's organic. If someone needs to hear it, it's eventually going to get to them. And so if it continues to reach more people, like my music did, especially like Jazz and Coffee, got a very dope placement on Spotify. I was on the cover of the playlist. I was like on top of the playlist, and Spotify doesn't pay the best, but hey, it helped me pay my bills, man. So I'm super thankful for that, and it helped grow my audience. So you see, not it's not the results aren't always going to be there,
right.
but if you stay consistent, and you keep that state of mind that if I keep dropping this music that is being appreciated, I will continue to create more opportunities for myself.
Well said, man. Well said. The song Reflecting, you say the only way to be fulfilled, making life surreal. And you repeat it again. You say the only way to be fulfilled, making life surreal. Can you explain further what you mean by that phrase?
Yeah, I think it's that branches from like hearing people tell me that you kind of make your own world. You know, a lot of times we can sit in this dark place and bad things will continue to happen. So where I found true happiness was telling myself like, yo, like the fact that I'm alive, like yo, I can feel my skin, I can breathe right now. Like I can create. I can build stuff, man. Like I can touch stuff, I can feel stuff. I can express myself. So the fact that I can do that, I can begin to create a better world for myself. I believe it's possible for anybody. You got to kind of tap in to a certain place in your mind where you're like, no, nothing's gonna affect me, nothing's gonna throw me off this vibration right now. I'm on this certain wavelength right now. I gotta stay on it, and I'm gonna create this better world for myself. And I know it's easier said than done, but personally, I found myself so much more happier when I start to, you know, create a better world for myself in my mind. Because a lot of this world that we're living in, it's like it's our reality. Like we kind of make our own story up. Like you can be the superhero in your own story. Like even though that sounds pretty crazy, but you could for real be the superhero in your own story. Like if you convince yourself that it's definitely possible.
Mm. You also say on that song, Reflecting, there's a difference between the state of being and your state of mind. Let's not take anything for granted, y'all. Can you explain the difference between the two, the state of being and your state of mind?
Yeah, the these are good quotes, man. I love these. So your state of being, and you being present in the world, and it kind of correlates to what I was saying earlier, making life surreal. So the difference between your state of being and your state of mind. So you can tell yourself like, yo, things are going to be better for me, things are going to be beautiful, life is going to be full of abundance. And even though you're currently in a place where it might not feel that way, if you're in that state of mind, you can change your state of being. So you can begin to see these things flourish in your own life. Because I've realized that the power of manifestation is real. It's a lot of these things have really happened for me in my life. So I try to remind people, because unfortunately I think we need to hear things like 9 or 10 times before it actually resonates with us. So I continue to say this on music over and over again to remind people that, yo, you can put yourself in a better place.
I think it's really dope that you share those little gems in your music. um, how have your fans received the inspiring gems that you put in your music? Like, is that something that, like, do you, I guess, similar to the fan that we spoke about earlier, do you receive messages from fans regularly about how much your music is inspiring them?
Yeah, I do. I do actually, man. And not all the time, that it's funny because even myself, I'm human, man, and I have days where I'm like, is my music resonating, man? Because I put my heart and soul into this, man.
Right, right.
And another really important thing to mention is that I really hope that I don't sound cheesy, because like that is like the most important thing to me. I do not want to sound cheesy. I want it to flow naturally. I try to say it in a way where I'm not preaching, and yeah, it's some dope rap. You know,
Yeah,
I think I try to find a balance between the both, because I don't want to come off too preachy, and telling people what to do with their lives. I just kind of share my experience, and it's resonated really well, man. I think me opening up like that allows other people to open up to me. So I've received a lot of very dope messages.
dope, dope. Yeah, I don't think it comes across preachy. I just think it really comes across in the sense of a vibe. And people are able to, like you said, you could be like literally cleaning up the house on a Saturday and something, and you're just getting the messages just kind of like outpouring as you're listening. So,
That's how I wrote a lot of my music, man. Cleaning the house,
wow,
folding laundry, doing the dishes. So that's probably why it fits so well during that time, man. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm driving in the car, I'm
yeah, yeah.
driving to work or whatever the case is, doing some errands. I was thinking a lot of my rhymes during that time, so it might fit perfectly for that. So I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, on the track Late Night Vibe, you say you got your fam by your side, your true meaning of wealth. When did you come to the realization that your family was your true meaning of wealth?
I think that's always been ingrained in me, man. It's from when I was a kid. I've
Mm,
always been around a family that's very joyful. They love to party, have a good time, man, and very drama free. And I'm blessed to say that because I've been around a lot of families that unfortunately, they don't let go of these little things, man. They hold grudges,
mm.
and I'm like in disbelief, man. Like why? Like we're family. Like there's no point in doing that. Like a lot. I mean, unfortunately, humans things happen, and I understand. But thankfully, my family has always been, good vibes, love to party, and dance was always like something that was around us all the time, man. And I think the us always being up dancing, having a rhythm, getting the blood flowing, probably put us in a better mood. And maybe having music around all the time put us in a better place. But the second thing would be having my son,
Mhm.
um you know was a huge life changer, man. Just open your eyes to so many different things, man, and knowing that your family is straight, they're good, healthy. Like then now you can now go into the world feeling more comfortable, like knowing your family's straight. Now it's like, all right, let me go handle what I got to do, and you're at a much better place in your mind.
Yeah, that is so true. That makes so much sense. On that song, you also shout out your wife for supporting your music from day one. I know you mentioned her earlier. And, so you shout out your wife, for supporting your music from day one, being your first ear, and approving of all of the music before it's released. Aside from her being obviously your wife and you all having that special connection, what makes you trust in her to give that approval as opposed to giving it to like a DJ friend or an engineer?
That's a good question, man. I think it's because we've been together for so long, and she actually supported my music since high school. So this was around 2009. She was a supporter of my music then, and us having a mutual understanding of what we want in life, and just and being on the same page all the time, being able to communicate with each other and be truly honest with each other. That allows me to know, like, that gives me comfort in being able to share music with her and knowing that I'm gonna get the most honest feedback from her, because she'll tell me that I'm whack. She'll be straight up, and the good thing is I won't be too offended because it's my wife. I'll take it.
Do you
Um,
think she'll tell you that you're whack quicker than one of your like DJ friends or music friends?
yeah, oh, definitely, man. My wife is like, she don't play, man. Like, if something's no good, man, she'll tell me straight up. Yeah.
Word.
And
That
anything in life, not even just music, man. Like anything, like if I'm messing up or whatever, my wife would just be quick to tell me, like, get it together.
oh, yeah, man. That's
Yeah.
that's true love right there. But I gotta say, you gotta have a tough, gotta have a tough heart, a tough spirit to take that too. So props to you.
Oh yeah. You know what? I've had some rough nights, man, where I'm like, man, she don't like this song, man. I really love this one. I thought this was gonna be it right here.
Right, right.
Right. Or like she's very detailed because I've shared everything that I want to be approved with her. So like little things like delivery, like the way I say a certain word, or the way I deliver a certain rhyme, she'll be critical of that because I've told her that I want her to be. So she's become like a great A&R for me.
That's what's up, man. So your latest single, Timeless, produced by Phonics, came out last month. Can you explain the significance of the title and why you chose to highlight the subject of timeless on this single?
Oh yeah, I think I had already had this idea of talking about how we want to make music that is timeless, that is, that reaches beyond time, like that is something that lasts longer, like I said, than a song at a club. You know, a lot of music, a lot of hip hop from the '90s is still played today. A lot of this classic hip hop, and phonics makes a lot of those type of beats where it's like it's boom bap, jazzy, mellow. It can be a little more up tempo. He can slow it down a little bit, and the beat he sent me was actually called Time, and
Mm,
I had already the idea of doing Timeless.
got it.
So and so it fits so perfectly. The timing couldn't have been any better, man. Is what I like to say.
Look at that.
And he produced it on the SP 1200, which is just a classic hip hop, beat machine. And for the producers that know what's up, it's very difficult to produce on an SP 1200 compared to like Ableton and Fruity Loops and all these, you know, software programs where it's so much easier to produce. So he threw it back. He kept it classic, man. So I felt like I had to keep it classic too. And I think the song's only been out for a bit. We've done some pretty good promo for it. It's just a loose single. We're talking about doing some more stuff, but right now I'm actually finishing a project up with Leo Lopez. We had to release a single earlier in the year called "Slow It Down," and that song's about a lot of things are going on. Everything's fast paced. Social media, you're like constantly scrolling. You're like looking for what's next, like searching for the next high. Like what's gonna give me, that what's gonna get my serotonin flowing. Like how am I gonna get some more likes? And you're always like thinking of things that'll put you in a better place. But sometimes the key is to just slow down,
Mm,
take a deep breath, be in the moment, man. Understand that I'm alive right now. And, also when you're in question of what might happen next, sometimes I kind of dive into this on the second verse, is a story about how this gentleman approached me at a restaurant randomly. I didn't even know the dude. He just came up to me and he was like, "Yo, I feel this crazy energy from you." And he's like, and I can tell that you're gonna do something great with your life. Like he just randomly came up to me and told me that, and I think it was like at a Denny's, and I'm just like, what? Like
it's
this is
not like a
strange because
movie.
yeah, like this is strange because like I'm really trying to bring out positive energy into the world, and then I'm kind of getting it back right now from this guy. He's kind of reinforcing it with
Yeah,
me, but just some random man. He's like, I just feel some type of energy coming out of you. So I shared that on the second verse of that song with a little story, man. And we're working on an album. I'll reveal the title. It's called Still Dreaming,
nice.
and man, I'm super excited about it, man. It's really about capturing a youthful energy because when we're kids, we're always like in this fantasy world. We're playing and we're like kind of dreaming of things. So now that I have two kids, I'm kind of back in that world again of
Mm,
like being in that little fantasy world. We're playing and we're like, we're seeing like monsters and we're defeating, whatever it is. Like we're playing Spider Man and like, we're imagining someone in front of us, and it doesn't dive into that too much. But what I'm trying to say is that I'm trying to, we have the youthful energy that's still in us, you know, and you can still be a dreamer. You can like make this world for yourself, and like and when you're a kid, you live in a better place, man. You're kind of questioning things. You're like more interested, intrigued by things, and for some reason, when you get older, a lot of these things are like just normal, man. Like you know the trees, for example. Like the kids will look at the trees and be like, "Whoa, yo, that's crazy." But us as adults, we're like, "That's the tree right there," just little things like that, like just capturing that youthful energy. And I'm super excited about it, man. It's gonna be very similar to Jazzy Vibes, a lot of jazzy beats.
nice, nice. When is that to be released? Is that something we'll see before the year is up?
We're actually debating, just because vinyl production is is like it's crazy right now. Vinyl sales have gone up like so high right now, so the demand is crazy. So I'm hearing that a lot of my friends are the turnaround time for their vinyl projects is about a year.
Wow.
So once we have everything kind of packaged and ready, I might ask people like, do you guys want to stream it first, or do you want to wait until the vinyl is ready? Because for me, a lot of our audience likes vinyl,
Right.
so that's important for me. But unfortunately, the turnaround time is crazy. It's ridiculous.
Wow. Yeah, it's an interesting thing when you have to definitely consider your demographic and what they're into, and choosing how to, like, what medium to release the music. But I'll say I hope I hope to hear it before the end of the year, but no pressure.
All right.
Whatever. Release. So, the song that you did with Phonics, and I know you have this other project coming out. Uh, I couldn't help but to ask: is this an indicator of a possible project you may do with Phonics in the future, or is there any talks about that?
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. I'm excited for that because he sent me some clips of different beats that he had made and asked me if I wanted any of them. Of course, I said yes. I already picked a few, and we'll see where it goes from there. We haven't really said like full project, EP, LP. It's just more of just letting it flow naturally. I'm gonna get some more beats and I'm gonna keep working.
Dope. So I have to ask you this before I go, and it really came to my awareness as I'm talking to you tonight. You have such a dope ear for production. Have you considered yourself making beats and approaching the direction of creating your own beat tape and just going in that direction?
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. It's funny, like being able to select the right beat is more than like half the battle for me. Like if I pick the right beat, I'm super happy.
Nice.
And if other people agree with that, super happy about that. And I do produce. It's just I haven't found like the right way to like translate the feeling of the thoughts or the right sound that I want to get out. I'm gonna keep working on it, but I am making beats. It's just it hasn't seen the light of day yet.
Got it. Got it. But it's in the process,
It's yeah, it's definitely in the process, man. I think after I'm done emceeing, I want to help produce, maybe even help artists with marketing and promoting, maybe even run a label eventually. We'll see what happens, man. But I definitely just want to continue to be involved around music and hip hop, man. I love it so much. I can't see myself ever giving it up, man.
Definitely, definitely. Well, Kid Abstract, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me tonight. It was a pleasure building with you about your project and just your whole approach to music. For the fans out there and the audience listening, what are some closing words you would like to share with them, and maybe even share where they can find you, like your website and social media?
Wait. Before I get into that, man, how did you find my music, man? If I may ask.
Bandcamp.
Bandcamp.
So yeah, I search frequently for new music on
Nice.
Bandcamp. I go through other sites as well, but I'm pretty sure it was Bandcamp that I found out about Jazzy Vibes, and I started seeing that artwork popping up more and more. And
All right.
it made me interested in wanting to reach out to you.
Okay, that's dope, man. Because I'm the same way. I'm always looking for new music, and I tell people, please don't complain that there's no good music out there, man. You just got to take a little time, do your research, do your Googles, search up some music, man. Take some time to listen to different things, and you'll eventually find that there's a lot of dope artists. And I have a couple features on the next album that I'm gonna figure out a way to promote their previous work or their future work as well. I want to put other people on. There's so much good music out there, man. So thank you for actually pressing play, man. That's dope. That's half the battle today, man, because there's so much music. So the fact that you press play, I appreciate that. Um, but yeah, I want to say to all my listeners, I truly appreciate y'all from the bottom of my heart. I love all of you guys. If you support my music, I consider you family. Um, Thank you for letting me into your ears, your headphones, your speakers. Thank you to everyone that does the simple things like liking my posts. That goes a long way. People don't understand. Like, don't just look at it and say that's dope. Like it, drop a comment, flame emojis, whatever, man. Just do something for all your favorite artists. Like, don't just look at it and say, "Yo, that's dope." No, let me know. Let them know. Express yourself. Give people their flowers while they're here. Please. Life is too short, man. Life is way too short. Show love to everyone, not just me, everybody. Anybody you love and respect, just show them some love with a little like, comment, send them a message, let them know you're thinking about them, whatever it is. We can be gone tomorrow, man. And I'm not trying to take it to a dark place. We can literally be gone tomorrow and you won't get that thought off your mind, man. And I don't know. Like for me, life is too short. I try to show love to everybody, man. Anybody that shows me love, I'm gonna show you love right back. And where you can support my music, the main website is rawrhythmmusic.com. Please subscribe to that because the other day IG went down, Facebook went down, and I was like, yo, how am I gonna reach all these people, man? Like, oh, like I was low key like kind of scared, and I was like, yo, I talk to more people on IG than any other platform. So, yo, if you want to keep updated with my music, revolutionaryrhythm.bandcamp.com, rawrhythmmusic.com. That's Kid Abstrakt on Spotify and all the other streaming platforms. If you press play, I deeply appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate your time. Thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate you.
No doubt. I'm gonna put that rawrhythmmusic.com up there so people
There we
know.
go.
Go check that out, man. And yeah, man, to all of our viewers and all of our listeners, thank you so much for rocking with us. Make sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe to outtheboxmedia.com so that you can get acquainted and get updated when we put out a new episode. Remember, we do a new show every Friday. So till our next show, I want to say peace, love, and light. Stay focused, stay healthy, stay safe. We out of here. Peace.
Peace.